Hi, I'm John Garrard, Head of Customer Experience for Enjoy the Air Limited. Electric vehicles, public transit, private cars, active transport, all these modes and trips and user types in the transport sector really can't be dealt with efficiently using traded securities like carbon credits. Indeed, traded markets have no interest or focus in community, only business. But what if communities had the tools to reduce carbon and gain compensation for their environmental efforts? Through consensual decisions of transport owners, communities can have the opportunity to reduce fragmentation in the transport sector and to make a real difference to our CO2 emissions. It's an ambitious goal that'll only happen through a long-term system of change across all sectors. But we've got people on the forefront of various platforms and technologies that can begin to make this a reality. This system of change is being spearheaded by our directors Errol Kruger and Kate Barnard from Enjoy the Air Limited, Dr. Taha Rashidi and Armin Shokri from EnviroCoin, and Sylvie Chin from Clear CO2. This presentation shows their research and efforts into making CO2 reduction a community responsibility, not just business and government. Well, what's wrong with the current system? Armin Shokri, the CEO and co-founder of EnviroCoin, is going to address the first issue of lack of access.
So access to carbon credits and related ESG credit is extremely limited. It's usually reserved for big business or institutional investors. Ordinary people, it's very difficult for them to buy it, and it's very difficult for them to trade it. And I guess a key reason for that is because of the high transaction costs and the many intermediaries that exist. So when you have a market that's quite fragmented with, several schemes, several credits going on globally simultaneously, and almost every region regulating it differently, you have a system where even the smallest of price shocks can obliterate the market. So that is a challenge. Now, the way we're addressing that challenge is by creating a all-in-one ecosystem. And what I mean by that is existing solutions, you have to buy the carbon credit, you have to find someone project to buy it from, you've got to find a market facilitator, then you've got to buy it, then what are you going to do with it? We are incorporating the entire value chain into one simple solution. Now, that coupled with the decentralized nature of our ecosystem will ensure that almost anyone from any place in the world can simply, by connecting, their wallet to our website, can start transacting in carbon credits with really no need for any intermediaries and minimal transaction costs.
The second issue is one of measurement. There's currently no worldwide consensus on the accurate quantification of carbon footprints, making community-based trading very difficult. Clear CO2 provides a platform for accurate measurement and reporting of key ESG indicators. The system provides simulation tools for clients to assess various suppliers, standardized methodologies to quantify CO2 outputs, aggregation to trade in carbon credits, and also reports for critical ESG data. Here's Sylvie Chin from Clear CO2.
Businesses that don't offset carbon are leaving real money on the table. With Clear CO2, it's easy to calculate your carbon credit and cash it. This is money owing to your company. With Clear CO2, know exactly where you stand with our carbon emission audit. And in this case, it already pays off, and you can get waste reductions, or you can lower your energy bills.
The final issue with the current system relates to certification. Small business and the community have no means of rating their environmental efforts against standardized data. The Halo Clean Air Certification Standard from Enjoy the Air Limited has used the UN Sustainable Development Goals to create a framework for providing multiple level certification based on a wide variety of environmental outputs. This standard, backed by worldwide certification agency Control Union, allows anyone to be clearly assured that they're fulfilling their environmental obligations, and it also shows areas where improvement may be necessary. So what are the components of this system of change? Well, the first component is proof of environmental savings. Here's Armin again.
Our token mechanism is what we call a proof of environmental savings system, which means that a token is minted after verified and validated carbon saving. Now, we're pretty agnostic to how that carbon saving is generated, and I think so that's very interesting. Now, why we got in this space is we saw the carbon credit market and related ESG credits were booming globally. Everyone wants to make an impact, and corporations and individuals, governments, they're all behind this. But we saw a really, really fragmented, inefficient, and ineffective marketplace and solution. So we thought to use the accelerating power of blockchain to improve access, efficiency, transparency, and efficacy of this ecosystem. And so that's what got us into this area, and that's what got us to develop the proof of environmental savings model.
So we have our proof of environmental savings. Secondly, we need a functioning user pays ecosystem. This is Dr. Taha Rashidi, the Chief Innovation Scientist with EnviroCoin.
With the advent of electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles that are not going to be any more charged by petrol or diesel, the revenue that we have from fuel excise, which is the main source for the maintenance of roads, will be gone. So we won't be having access to this source of revenue, which means we need to restructure this system through which we used to, or we are currently actually saving money for the maintenance of roads. So EVs and autonomous vehicles will be dominating the market soon, which means that most likely everything will be charged by electricity. So in this evolving market, mainly again, I'm emphasizing on the transport aspects, I'm emphasizing on investors specifically, and not investors in the transport system, investors in many other industries, including medical and pharmaceutical and many other health-related industries, divert the resources toward the transport system as the market needs to reach a new equilibrium between the cost of transport and the demand, increasing demand, or even if the demand exists at the same level.
So through improving access, measurement, and certification, we can begin to disrupt the current market and provide real solutions for communities and small business to get the credit they deserve for their environmental efforts. A functioning user pays ecosystem. Thirdly, we need to incentivize the use of intelligent technologies. Here's Dr. Taha again.
So the actual price of traveling should reflect the carbon saving associated with new technologies to be developed and to be introduced, to be developed, to be manufactured. All of these new technologies will attract the investment of all of these investors, so that we end up having a greener society and people are rewarded or penalized for their choice of travel. So this is the direction I see for the transport system, for energy system, and for investors from many other disciplines to try to realize the actual cost of traveling, and which includes carbon saving as well.
The ultimate end is a society where greener travel choices are rewarded and penalties are applied for environmentally destructive modes of transport. And finally, point 4, communities need to be the ones deciding how to reduce emissions and lift air performance. Dr. Taha?
So travelers, again, I go back to my own expertise, which is transport systems and transport engineering. Travelers and users of the transport system, they directly benefit from the system. You and I, we use the transport system. All of us, we use like our Mustang or sport cars, and that means other people who are not using the transport system are affected by externalities, which might be noise, emission, land use change to extend the capacity of the system. All of these are imposed to the entire population, even if they're not using the transport system. So we need to reconsider the way the cost of my trip, which might be by a specific mode of transport, which is not necessarily green, which is not necessarily environment friendly, should reflect the cost to me. At the moment, it's just travel time and travel cost, whatever dollar value I pay for my car, insurance, and fuel. But that should realize, and that should include the extensive amount of carbon and emission and noise that is being generated from my trip. And I'm benefiting from that, but others are also paying for that.
So a particular trip is not just the time and fuel cost. We need to reconsider the cost to the environment of that trip and take note that the entire community is either benefiting or suffering as a result of that transport choice. The system of change needs to be a controlled transition. It's not a short-term solution. Let's hear from Armin again.
This is really a 10, 20-year plan. And in that long run, we envision stabilized prices, if not growing. Now, in regards to the verification and validation, existing models of verifying carbon credits are extremely inefficient. And I could mention a few providers. In order to get a project verified by them, you're going to need a project that is at least $1 million in size, if not more. And there's a runtime of anywhere between 12 to 18 months by the time you've got it verified. Now, what that does is price out smaller projects, and it prices out innovation. Now, what I mean by innovation is, right now, the only projects that can really qualify are, reforestation, cook stove, wind farms. But what we saw in the chats we had with industry is that innovation has the potential to save a lot of carbon.
Making carbon trading accessible to the community should certainly be at the forefront of government policy as we head to net zero. So, in conclusion, with communities championing intelligent transport systems, business and government will have a clear mandate to price transport modes based on their environmental impact and incentivise commuters. Platforms and technologies such as EnviroCoin, Clear CO2 and Halo are providing communities with the access, measurement and certification tools to make this system of change a reality. Thanks very much.